Coach Johnny Estelle, just talk about your team coming off a 2-0 record at home. Now you head to the road, face St. Mary's, an exhibition at UT-RGV, and then you return home against Ohio Valley. A busy week ahead of you.
Yes, very busy week. Probably if I would look back at the schedule, wouldn't have done it this way. But it's the way we had to get games in and play against good quality opponents. St. Mary's presents a great challenge. They're well coached, very disciplined team, a lot of size. A little different from the first two teams we played, but when we do our schedule, we look at diversity because of our conference. Also, we look at it from a regional standpoint. All three of those opponents are in region. UTPB are coming in the league, so get a good feel for what we're going to be up against in the Lone Star Conference.
So St. Mary's, a team in the South Central Regional, a team that you may see in the regional tournament. Hopefully, obviously, the goal is to get there. So just talk about how important it is to come out and play well against a team like that, a team that you will see twice this season.
Well, I mean, when you put a schedule together, the first thing you want to do is have a competitive component to it, and they sure do present that. You want to also present, in terms of regional points for an at-large bid if you happen to not win the conference, give you a chance to actually make the tournament as an at-large bid. So, yeah, I mean, it's always been a rivalry. It was a rivalry when I played here. We had some really tough battles with those guys back in the day, and I hope it just continues.
Now, you talked about your team being 10, 15 guys deep at times. This past week, you had two heroes. Obviously, you had, three actually, if you consider Chris Bulwer running for the loose ball. So just talk about how important it is for those guys to continue to play well and improve on a consistent basis.
Well, I just believe in order to win a tournament, and look back at my past success as a coach, we've always played 12, 13 guys. Some coaches are against that and opposed, and it's just their preference. I think when you get into a very competitive tournament play, which is how you crown the national champion or even a conference champion or regional NCAA champion, that you got to have depth. Injuries, fatigue, all those things come into play. So we work every one of our guys in situations where they're going to be put in the game when the game's on the line. So if we ever have to depend on them, we're not fretting. We're actually comfortable with that, and they're comfortable as well.
Now, we looked at your team this past week with 2 wins, close wins, in region wins. Now, you had DJ Weather scoring double digits both games. You had Jamar Goodwin play extremely well. You had Chris Bulwer play extremely well as a starter there. Tim Singleton came off the bench and played. Kyrie Edwards. A lot of those guys came off and contributed to your team's success. Now, you have said in the preseason that you will continue to play these guys to just somewhat see what you're working with. So what's your game plan this coming week with 3 games?
Well, it's going to continue, in the chemistry aspect of it. You can duplicate some of it in practice, with, how you different lineups, but in the game is where you really see the benefit of playing different multiple lineups. It takes your chemistry a little time to come together sometimes, but once it clicks, if you have a certain way of you want to play, and that's what we do. We don't really look at lineups as much as are we executing on the defensive end, are we rebounding the basketball, are we sharing the ball. So if we got 5 guys out there playing for the Javelinas and playing for the win, and with the will to win, I think we'll have a chance. So, I like how we're doing things now. Ultimately, roles are continuously going to be basically, defined as time goes on. Some guys are going to produce more in games than others. So, but at the end of the day, we're putting together a product that hopefully can win, big here.
Now, I know one of the concerns was the lack of bigs that you had, but Jamarcus Horace, Troy Jones, those guys played extremely well, and Trey Sumter playing undersized at that position, essentially the 4 for you guys. Just talk about those 3 guys and how they contributed this past week and how you look at them going forward.
Well, you can't forget Thomas Diaz as well. I thought he played really good in that second game. All 4 of those guys, Jamarcus has been out. And he basically has only practiced for 2 weeks, so his timing is off. Had an injury, and he's coming back, and he's struggling with that mentally. And I told him, I said, hey, we know you're going to be all right. So all 4 of those guys together, working together within our framework, gives us a chance. I mean, we had 57 rebounds the first night against a very athletic and tough team in UTPB. So we had 57 rebounds. We're undersized. And, just like I told you in the preview, I mean, we wasn't very big when we won the championship when I played here. Matter of fact, the leading rebounder in the conference was Deron Rutledge, and he was only 6'4". So rebounding is an art. I think it's a very underrated stat, and I think it's a skill that you have to continuously enhance as a coach and as a program to go and win big.
Final question for you, Coach. You talked about rebounds. Offensive rebounds in second, third, fourth chances were key into both wins, essentially. Just talk about how you attribute that as a coach to just effort. I mean, those guys were running around trying to get the loose balls, making sure that the team had essentially 2-3 shots for every possession, and then you look at it, and that's the key to the victory in game 2.
Exactly right. You know, I've always told my teams that I'm more concerned with the right side of the stat sheet than the left. The left is the shots, you know, quite naturally those guys get the glory. But just like in football, the block, you know, if you don't have a line, the running back and the quarterback is average. So for me, the loose balls, the steals, the assists, the charges, the blocks, deflection, things like that, they're very valuable to winning because, like you said, they're effort. I can either do them or not do them. It don't take much effort to shoot the basketball, but it does take a great effort to do the other things. So we're about trying to do the little things to make the big things happen.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.